So this is our review for Fishtails. And with me today, I don't know if I'm going to call him a fish or a pig. I don't know. I'll let him decide. My good friend Manny Cruz, the Toonie Tenor. Say hi.
Say, aw?
Ah.
I guess I'll go with the fish.
Yeah, this one's a really strange one, which means it'll be a strange review.
That is my favorite line in the whole cartoon, by the way. Say, aw?
One of the very few lines in this short, by the way, I should mention. But in any case, a few bits of info to get underway. So as mentioned, this is a review for Fishtails, released in 1936. It's the 133rd in the series and directed by the greatest Looney Tunes director of all time, Jack King. Now, you can find this on the Porky Pig 101 DVD set, but since been restored, and as far as I'm aware, it's not on physical media otherwise, this restoration. Hopefully it will be at some point, because we want everyone to experience this surreal masterpiece or anti-masterpiece in the best possible quality, don't we?
Indeed.
So I'm going to put you on the spot again, Manny, because honestly, this one was just like, you know what? Just do the synopsis. Do the synopsis. This one's just too weird even for me.
Oh, well, if the audience insists on it. So this cartoon, Anthony and I just did the recording for Yankee Doodle. So we went from the 50s back to the 1930s, and I told him that it's kind of neat that I get to relive another childhood classic, because this short and Yankee Doodle were two that I used to see a lot on Nickelodeon back in the 1990s. So anyway, this cartoon is about Porky just going out, beautiful day, let me get some fish. He's whistling. I'll say the name of the song when I get to my segment in a little bit. But he's whistling, minding his own business, goes on his little motorboat. He gets into some little wacky antics. He literally destroys a battleship. And then he falls asleep, and either he daydreams or it actually happens that he becomes a nice roasted pig meal, or almost becomes a nice roasted pig meal. And I'll explain that in a second. For the fish family, and hijinks ensue under the sea.
It's a surreal anti-masterpiece. It is just so bizarre. And for those of you wondering, hang on, when you're redoing these older commentaries into reviews and all that, don't you normally do this solo? Honestly, I don't think I had the strength to do this one solo, and I happen to have Manny on for Yankee Doodle, so I'm like, you know what, let's just do Fishtails. Let's just do it. Because, yeah, I need the moral support.
Yeah, originally my plan was to do Manny's music time as a separate track. But, Anthony, he begged me. He's like, please, please, for the love of God, do this commentary with me. He even said he was going to make me some roasted pig or maybe some grilled fish. Yeah, I don't know. One of the two as a token of his appreciation.
So a few bits of trivia with this one. So you see Uncle Norm on the wall. There's like a framed picture. I mean, this is Jack King we're talking about. He's not exactly an ambitious director, at least at this point. He was kind of ambitious in the beginning, but by this point, he's just going through the motions, not inspired at all. And it says Uncle Norm. Is this a nod to music director Norman Spencer? Could be, or it could just be if it was something that they thought was funny. I don't know. I doubt it's Norm McKay because he arrived at the studio roughly this time, and I would really doubt that that's the case, but either way, it's there. It really is. And if this short looks familiar to you, and if you're an aficionado of Jack King shorts like I am, clearly, this is very similar to Buddy's Bug Hunt. It's the same idea. Buddy is doing something. In that case, it's bugs, and here it's to do with fish, but they each fall asleep, and then the tables are turned. I would argue Buddy's Bug Hunt is even more surreal than this one. They're both strange cartoons. Very strange. But speaking of Jack King, this is the first of 4 shorts that he directed with Porky as the solo star. He directed Porky before with Beans, but they're more Beans shorts really. But here it's the start of the first of 4 that he directs solo before he goes back to Disney, and thank goodness for that, because then Frank Tashlin comes along and, well, yeah, Joyzy Boy improves things a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah, he threw in a little bit of that Joyzy charm over there.
The Joyzy charm over there. And speaking of voices, that's a good segue. So Joe Doherty does the voice of Porky around this time, but he's actually not in this one. In fact, it barely speaks at all. But you do see some moments where it looks like he's going to be muttering something, but he doesn't. So I'm wondering if they just couldn't get a working track with Doherty, who was a real-life stutterer. You hear Bernice Hansel doing Porky's voice as like a little childlike voice.
Let me out of here!
But everything else you hear is like a big question mark, according to Heath Scott's Cartoon Voices book. The last bit of trivia, and I'm going to ask you a question with this, Manny, is like, this is the reason why you're here. Well, like, when you first saw this, I believe that this was done twice. There was a redrawn version and then a computer colorized version. So 3 versions. Which did you see growing up?
I'm assuming that most of the ones that I remember seeing on Nickelodeon were the computer colorized ones, because the computer colorization process, it was done 3 times. It was done first in 1990, then 1992, and then 1995. And that was a collaboration between Warner Brothers and Nickelodeon to do that. And the redrawn shorts were done in 1968, if I'm not mistaken. And to my knowledge, I don't remember really seeing the redrawn shorts back then. Maybe I did, I just don't have a memory of it, but definitely as a kid, I do remember seeing certain cartoons and in the bottom saying computer colorized version, copyright 1992 or whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna have to say this was definitely the computer colorized one.
At the very least, the computer colorized ones, I mean, I don't think these should be colorized at all. Let's get that out of the way. But at least the computer colorized ones were more closer to the original intent because it follows the lines, whereas redrawn, they just drew every second frame and that's that. So the less you see of those, the better. Although I would assume a lot of people would have nostalgia for that as well. But me, I have no nostalgia for this short whatsoever. I know you saw this one heaps. I never saw it until I saw the Porky 1-on-1 set, and after I saw it, I thought, what the heck did I just watch here?
I mean, rewatching it, that's what I was thinking, to be fair.
It's so bizarre. Again, I think Buddy's bug hunt is more surreal and weirder of the two. We'll go through the short from start to finish and go through why. I mean, at least we got Bob McKimson animation. So anything that's really well-rounded, I'm assuming is him. But there's no animation identification as far as I'm aware. But you can kind of tell McKimson, so there is that. But yeah, shall we go through the short from start to finish?
Indeed.
So one small detail I did notice in this rewatch is the fact that Porky is, of course, walking along with a fishing rod and just an empty can. So he's not even prepared when he comes to going fishing. But there's a sign in the back that says no fishing.
Ah.
It's like a foretelling that he shouldn't have fished here, that the fish are sentient in this particular lake. Nah. Nah. This is Jack King we're talking about. One of the traits I've noticed with him as a director at this point in time is that he'll just do whatever was literally on the board. He doesn't alter timing or anything to make things funnier. He just does things as is, and you'll notice a lot of the gags fail, whereas if, say, Tex Avery did this, the timing would be a lot more punchier, or if Chris Frilling did this, it would be a lot more punchier. But here, nah, not good. But we see Porky whistling along, you know, so pretty much this is you going to work, you're just whistling along.
Yeah. Something like that.
And we see 2 worms walking along, and this is the first bizarre gag of many bizarre gags, where why would those worms even follow Porky to their doom, essentially? It's like, I don't know. It's so weird.
For some reason, in my head, the song How Bizarre keeps playing. And I guess that's a perfect song that sums up this cartoon, you know, how bizarre, how bizarre. Just the whole mood of this cartoon, the fact that the worms are willingly go to their death. It is, yeah, how bizarre.
Including one of the worms is apparently a female one that somehow manifested a pair of high heels as well. And I guess it's doing a Mae West shtick, but yeah. It's like, okay. And the other worm has had enough and it's like, okay, get in there. As we see a gag which... I know that Jack King did something similar in Buddy's Lost World, in the only funny gag in that one, where Buddy takes off and the whole pier just falls down. So here... Porky, I don't know why he doesn't untie the rope. It does not make sense at all. And so you just got this weirdly timed gag of this boat just spinning around and eventually it launches off into the great... Is it a lake or is it an ocean? I don't know. Probably an ocean.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I have no idea what it is.
Yeah. But we see the whole thing with Porky. He goes around and around and ends up going through this particular battleship.
I don't know what Jack King was thinking when he made this cartoon. It's just, I literally just throw stuff against the wall and see what sticks.
I mean, there's no real logic to any of this. And we see all these sailors there. The United States Navy would have to go back to the drawing board because if their battleships can be torn apart by this little speedboat, yeah, I would say that the hull's integrity is not particularly great. Just a word about that. Yeah, it's just... wow. So we just see a whole bunch of nonsense. Okay, you know, Porky's just going around into the water outside, Very riveting stuff, and he ends up stopping because he has a brake, because we all know that's how motorboats actually work, right?
Of course.
They have a brake. Clearly, because that's how they work. Clearly. Not really.
Porky said, give me a... Never mind. That was bad.
Wow. All right. So we finally stop. So we're, 2 minutes and 40 seconds into the shore. We finally get out to the ocean where Porky is going to now go fishing.
Is this where you start crying like Millhouse? You know, when are we going to get to the fireworks factory? When are we going to get to the fishing?
I mean, you mentioned not long ago about Jack King throwing everything to the wall, seeing what sticks. Well, Porky literally fishes up a head of a fish, which is something you would mount on a wall. So it's getting very meta, isn't it? He fishes that and it conveniently disappears. So he puts it in the boat, but it just disappears. I hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
Yes.
Well, see, Porky's actually a decent fisherman. He manages to get all these fish and puts it, again, in a bucket. But we have to try and make something funny out of this without any meaning. We gotta stretch that bucket up. Why? Because it is.
Why? Why not? Look at me. You're glass half empty. I'm glass half full.
Yeah. But, of course, all that fish disappears in the next shot where Porky's like, you know what? I'm too tired. I'm just gonna have a nap in the middle of the ocean, where apparently there's warships around, or battleships around. So at any moment, another one could just come by and hit him. But no, he'll just fall asleep in the middle of the ocean, because that's a safe place to have a nap, isn't it?
I mean, look, I could fall asleep in some weird spots, but in the middle of the ocean with battleships around me, I don't think so.
And the fish are gone, again, hope somebody got fired for that blunder. But we then get to the really surreal part. So this is the part where people perhaps remember this short the most. We get a whole reversal of what Porky's actually doing. So we see this fish. Wide has it's like one shoe, like two shoes connected together as one shoe. It's so weird. It's even got a hat connected to its head that's not floating away. I don't know. There's no logic here. But I do like the idea, though, that instead of actually using the worms as bait, the fish is using the kind of bait I enjoy.
Donut. The same bait would work for me, too.
Yeah, but let's be real. That would work. For me and you. I mean, yeah, it'd be soggy, but still donuts. So it's like, yeah, it's still soggy. It's still good. It's still good.
It's still good. And coincidentally, that cartoon. And now we're quoting that one. When pigs fly, or in this case, when pigs fish.
Yeah. But we see that the ghost of Porky, I think, spirit, or whatever the heck that is, gets caught by this donut, which hooks him by the nose. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, you can see it in the image right there. I'm not making this up. And the fish ends up catching him in the net, where gravity apparently works on and off underwater in this one. It's like a magical... Again, this is why you don't fish in this magical lake or ocean or whatever, It doesn't quite work. Because the fish also have teeth, as you can see.
You said this... What did you say? A magical lake?
Yeah.
This is, this magical lake or something. And I'm thinking, this ham and bacon come from this magical animal.
Yeah.
I think that's all I'm going to do is every time we talk about this cartoon, I'm just going to equate it to a Simpsons reference.
Yeah. But we're underwater. I mean, at least the effects kind of look nice. It's not quite as nice as the warped glass effect that both Freeling and Clampett would do in the 40s, but it's fine for what it is. And we forget the fact again that there's no real gravity like this underwater, but we just go with it as we enter into this house. So we see the two kids there. It's a family, man, so that's nice. We see the mother fish and the kids pinch Porky and they end up running off scared because reasons, I guess. You can tell I'm really enjoying going through this one, but the most disturbing moment, I don't know if you agree with this, but I think the most disturbing moment is the fact that normally when you get a certain fish, you would scrape off the skin, and here Porky's getting his top scraped off by a knife as though it's the skin.
Yeah, that part, even as a kid, that was the part of the cartoon I always thought was very weird. Like just seeing the music in this particular scene, which I'll go over in my little segment, but just the music and what's going on just it's like complete opposites, because the music is kind of upbeat, like bouncy, and then you just see Porky literally being scaled or, sweatered. Is that a word, sweatered? I don't know. You'll probably agree with me on this, but the way that either Jack King, the way that he stakes certain things or like the way that he did his initial like drawings and layouts, whatnot, or his animators on his team just make things look so weird and kind of creepy. I always look back to the example from Shanghai Shipmates and the scene where all the guys are like at the dinner table and Porky's fellow sailors, like one of the guys, he takes the bone and he cuts the bone in multiple pieces, and especially the scene where the guy literally eats his hat and like he gobbles it up, just how strange the animation is. And that scene right there with Porky getting sweatered and just like his face and the way that it's kind of jerky and awkward, the way that Porky moves when the fish is like turning him around. I don't know. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. It's poorly staged and the timing is off, and it
Yeah.
makes for a very interesting end result, though, where again, it just becomes more surreal than funny. I'm guessing on the storyboard, it kind of looked funny. It's like, ha ha, look at this role reversal that Porky's getting tortured by these fish or something. And the idea could be funny, but again, it's executed so literally and staged so weirdly that it just doesn't work. It just comes across as a horror movie more than a funny cartoon. But yeah, we see that Porky's now a pork roast. We even get that little touch where he opens the lid and, yeah, to be fair, that's what pork roast looks like. It will jiggle a little bit. Because where is the best meat, Manny?
The best meat's in the rump.
Yeah.
Actually, Porky shaking his rump at the camera is a prototype of the pig from the Simpsons episode, a Homer's triple button. No, I swear, if anybody in the Simpsons or Looney Tunes Wiki puts that, I'm going to scream my head off. But of course, I see him shake his rump. I have to think of that scene.
Because the best meat's in the rump. So again, like Jack King just doing any sort of funny business just cause, because we got Dancing Flames doing, I guess, a Russian type dance.
Yeah, the Russian dance, but the music, it has like bells going ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, again, what's going on screen? And the music doesn't quite line up.
Yeah, we see that Porky, I mean, I guess the fish forgot to get rid of Porky's gloves because he's naked otherwise. He's just got gloves on. So there's that. I wonder if this is Bob McKimson. It looks like a very well-rounded, nice drawing at least of him sweltering in that pot, which doesn't even look like a pot where he is. It looks like he's in a different shot altogether underwater. It's not even consistent.
Consistent in a Jack King short? What are you talking about?
Would you think that might be Bob McKimson? It seems to look like it's very well-rounded.
I agree, yeah, because, again, if you see something that's well animated, your first assumption during this period is Bob McKimson.
Yeah. I mean, I could be wrong. In the next shot, again, it's all consistent because this oven looks like it's even bigger than it was before. The two flames look very angry, by the way. I don't know why they're so angry.
They're impatient. They want the food
But
now.
they're not going to eat the food. They're just angry flames. This is so awful. But anyway, they lift the lid and Porky ends up escaping, not burning himself, but again, we're underwater as well because you can see all this logic just coming together, right? There's flames underwater, for crying out loud. There's all logic everywhere.
Indeed.
So Porky's running away naked. Why he wouldn't be swimming, but okay, sure.
Naked as a jaybird.
And just has his gloves on. So he runs around, and again, you just got this feeling that it's like, you know what, let's just put some funny business in here. So we see an eel. Oh, that's right, Porky now remembers how to swim.
How convenient.
How convenient. And the eel ties himself into a knot, and yeah, continues the chase. We see another fish. But hey, at least the fish gets something out of it.
It's a win-win.
We see a swordfish, we even see an octopus. In fact, a lot of these creatures look similar to the first Beans short, the cartoonist nightmare, those villains that you see in the dungeon. That's what a lot of these remind me of.
Yeah.
Same kind of, so it may not be the exact same lift per se. Maybe it's the same designer, I don't know. But sure enough, we see that Porky's, spanked in a way? Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just looking at this octopus just like, is he spanking him? Is he just throwing him out?
Maybe since he was getting ready to be prepared for dinner. I mean, it's like you're tenderizing the meat.
Yeah, maybe.
George is digging for something and there ain't much there.
In one of those did it really happen or not moments, it's like, okay, did he fall asleep and that happened? But then again, he lost his shirt, but now he's back on the boat without his shirt. So, did it happen? Did he ghost lose his shirt? I mean, yeah, I give up. It's just, okay. I'm done.
Oh my God, you hear that? He just took his headphones off. He's walking away from the mic. He's like, the heck with this.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
done.
he's
But
back.
we're not done with the music though, because we already hinted that this has got some interesting music stuff in here. So, Manny, take over so I can catch my breath.
And I don't know, go get a roast pig. Your mouth is watering already,
It
isn't it?
is indeed. I think everyone is mouths are watering for some music time. Yeah.
So you know what time it is, right, boys and girls?
No.
It's time for Manny's music time with music trivia for you today. Bum!
So, this is for the 1936 Looney Tune cartoon Fishtails, directed by Jack King, with musical direction by Norman Spencer, and this will actually be one of the last shorts that he does, for better for worse, and I will actually talk about one of the things that I've always enjoyed about his music in a little bit. So, obviously, the cartoon starts off with Beauty and the Beast, which was written by Harry Ruby, and Bert Kalmar, which is the Looney Tunes theme song of this time period. It will be replaced next year in 1937. So the cartoon starts off with the song I Don't Have to Dream Again, which was written by the Lennon and McCartney of the Warner Brothers cartoon world, Harry Warren and Al Dubin. And you're probably saying, what song is that? You hear it briefly during the opening titles. And speaking of which, unfortunately, one of the things with the Porky Pig 101 set is that you don't hear Beauty and the Beast being played during the opening credits. It got messed up during the computer colorized days, and a lot of places never bothered to put the actual proper cue in. If I'm not mistaken, they used one of the cues, like one of the Looney Tune cues from the late 30s or 40s. One of the arrangements of the merry-go-round broke down, if I'm not mistaken. So you hear I Don't Have to Dream Again, like I said, opening credits. You also hear it near the end when Porky escapes from the fish and he gets attacked by the swordfish, and then the funny scene, he goes in the fish's mouth. And you also hear it another last time when he wakes up from his quote-unquote dream. The next cue you hear is the song The Guy from the Isle of Capri, which is written by the team of Charlie Abbott and Dale Wimbrow. Wimbrow? Wimbrw. So whichever one you pick. And that is this lovely piece of music. That is a song that Porky is whistling at the very beginning of the cartoon. I've always enjoyed that little musical snippet of it. It's cool to actually know the name of it now. I assumed that it was a Norman Spencer original, but it is not. So then afterwards, when Porky, his motorboat starts malfunctioning and he starts going crazy in the ocean, he goes, "No!" I love the way he says that there. And then when it happens again, you hear no audio, which I think is incredibly strange. That music that you hear is the music of J.S. Zemishnik. A lot of Warner Brothers composers, Norman Spencer, Bernard Brown, obviously Carl Stalling and Mel Franklin. They use a lot of Zemishnik's music. If you want to learn more about J.S. Zemishnik, please check out My Green Fedora for more of that. And then, right after that whole harrowing scene of him destroying a battleship for some reason, you hear The Girl Who Keeps the Coats, which was written by Jack Scholl and M.K. Jerome. I keep wanting to say The Girl Who Keeps the Goats, but no. We're not talking about goats, and we're definitely not talking about Gabby Goat, who keeps the coats. And that is the song that is playing when Porky is actually fishing and he gets the fish head. He gets, I think, the boot in the water and all that. So, yeah. There's one thing I do want to say, which I guess a Norman Spencer original, but it is the theme song of Mr. Fish. That's bum 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 bum. Obviously, Anthony could do a better job posting the clip of it, but you hear that throughout the cartoon, and that, I guess, is the theme song of Mr. Fish. And it's cool whenever you hear like those little original pieces of music that Spencer or Frank Marsalis, obviously Carl Stalling, Milt Franklin, would throw on these cartoons. And I wish there was a proper name for it. I'm just going to call it Mr. Fish's theme. And of course, in Norman Spencer's music, there's a heavy use of the woodblock. Gunk, 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 gunk. Whenever I hear woodblock being played prominently in a Warner Brothers short, it's like my mind normally defaults to Norman Spencer, also Frank Marsalis. When you get to the music of Stalling and Franklin, and definitely not Bill Lava, you don't hear a lot of the woodblock being played a lot in the background. But I've always enjoyed that music for Mr. Fish. Bum, 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 bum. And obviously, Norman Spencer was the musical director of the Schlesinger studio for only 3 years, but it would have been cool to maybe hear a little bit more. But at the same time, without him leaving, we would not have the amazing career of Carl Stalling and Milt Franklin. So that's it for Manny's music time. And I don't know, now I'm really in the mood for some pernil and maybe like a nice grilled fish. Or in particular, I'm not Portuguese, but I grew up with a lot of Portuguese people. And Portuguese fish, oh, absolutely amazing food. See, you definitely, well, maybe wait a few years, but whenever you come here, I'm going to give you some traditional food from my cultures. You're going to get some Portuguese food. And then don't forget, you got to get a hot dog and you got to get some coffee as well. And maybe the hot dog will be made out of pork or what else? And at least the vegetarian wasn't made like a raccoon's tail and a shoe.
Or as Homer says one time, I don't know, I can't taste the hog anus. But yeah, there's that too. But in any case, you see, this is how much we really love talking about this cartoon. We're just talking about New York food. So there's that. This cartoon, look, objectively, it's terrible. And yet there is something about it that's just fascinating. I can't hate something that's giving me so much joy because of how awful it actually is. It's one of those so bad it's good shorts. But yeah.
You think that? I guess my attachment to it, I mean, it's not a great short. I'll agree. But for me, it's nostalgia. I have a ton of nostalgia for this cartoon. And arguably, this is probably my favorite Jack King cartoon, which isn't saying much.
Yeah, yeah, you grew up with it, I didn't, but I'm looking at this going, what the heck is this? But yeah, look, I mean, for me, I find it hard to score because objectively it's terrible. It's like a 3 or 4 out of 10 short, but entertainment, I was actually entertained because of how bad it was, in a so bad it's good way that I'll give it a 7 for that reason. So you know what, just put 5 out of 10, I'm going to split the difference and that's it. Yeah.
I know for Yankee Doodle It, and I also have childhood nostalgia for it, but the whole message of that cartoon has not aged well with me. With this one, I just think it's weird as heck. I still enjoy it. Like you said, it's very surreal. I have a ton of nostalgia for it. I guess maybe 7 out of 10 for this one, so slightly higher than Yankee Doodle It. I mean, obviously, the other cartoon is Friz Freleng. Friz Freleng is one of the best directors in animation history. There's no argument about that. Jack King, I know that he did better work when he went to Disney, when he started working on Donald Duck, but I've barely seen any of Jack King's work when he went to Disney. But all I know is that the stuff he did for the Schlesinger studio was not good. But I say you take the good and you take the bad. Obviously, Freleng has so many amazing cartoons, and Jack King, it's like he doesn't have any in Warner Brothers. But I like seeing the contrast between, great, not saying Yankee Doodle is great, but a great director and a mediocre director in the Warner Brothers studio.
Yeah, but in the end, I'm glad the Jack King nightmare is almost over. I think that will do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and until next time, take care.
And I got to say it one more time. Say "aw," or maybe you could put in the sound of Porky going, or whatever it is.